Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk of the Trinity. It's just me on my one today, Will Forrest. You can call me Mr. Trinity if you like, or you can call me what my wife does, or you. Either's fine. I've responded to worse. Next season at Aston Villa is going to be a big season. We've heard the news that the North Stand is going to be knocked down, rebuilt, and it means that capacity is going to be reduced next season. As well as that, teams are starting to look at next season. Managers are, recruitment teams, and certainly podcasts too. So that's the point of this episode. It's a fantasy football episode, if you like, and it's looking at Aston Villa next season. And the likelihood is, at present, at time of recording, Aston Villa will achieve a Champions League qualification space next season based on their Premier League position at the end of this current season. We're currently in the top 5. We're a good 10 points ahead of Chelsea. We only really need a couple more wins, really, and we should cement that. The other opportunity we have, of course, is winning the Europa League. We've got Nottingham Forest, a Midlands derby, 2 European Cup winners in the past, as we take them on before getting to, hopefully, a final against Braga or Freiburg. Now, with all that in mind, we get Champions League football next season. It means that we generate money. But we still got some of those restrictions in place because of PSR, SCR, whichever one you want to look at. I know it's all changing next year with the Premier League, but we're going to have to box smart and our margins are going to be fine. With that in mind, it's probably time that we have an overhaul of the squad. In many areas, we do need to upgrade. There are players who, unfortunately, in my opinion, maybe not the opinion of Unai, maybe not of Baz or Dave, that aren't quite at the level we need for Champions League football and to consistently be pushing for it. You know, we're going to have to be pushing for Champions League and not just Europe moving forward. But Unai surely knows how to balance a squad. With that being said, the players who I believe will move on next season, there are 12 players. Altogether, this would save £1 million in wages a week based on wages that I've researched and found, and the transfer incomings would be 135.6 million. These are based on Transfer Market website. So the players leaving: Jadon Sancho. His loan ends. I don't think we sign him. He's on at least 200k per week, if not more. If we were to keep him on that wage for the whole season, we're looking at 10.4 million. We've got Emi Martinez, who was very close to leaving last season. He's on 150k a week, approximately. He's valued on Transfer Market at 15 million. I personally feel we get more for him. I think we get 20 to 30. Where do I see Emi Martinez going to? Well, Man United seems to be off the books. But are there other Premier League teams? Certainly a team like Chelsea would be looking at Emi Martinez. I don't think Arsenal do. I don't think Man City do. And I don't think he'd join any of the other Premier League teams. No offence to them. So Inter Milan has got to be a team that would be looking at him, with Jan Sommer likely to leave. If Bayern Munich's Manuel Neuer was to hang up his boots, then maybe they'd look at him as well. Tyrone Mings, 110,000 a week, valued at 4 million. I think we get a bit more than that. I think we get at least 10 million for him. Where does he go? For me, Tyrone Mings isn't quite at that level that we need anymore. So I could see him going to another Premier League team, unless he wants to try abroad. And the teams that I think of are the likes of a Brentford, an Everton, a Fulham, those mid-table teams who are pushing on. that have solid seasons. One or two of them could be in Europe next season also. And what a leader he'd be there. Yes, he's over 30, but he'd had experience to those sides. Next up, Luca Din, 135,000 a week, valued at 8 million. 8 million is probably about right. Where does Luca Din end up? He may go to another Premier League team, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Luca Din move back to Liga 1 and joining one of the French teams over there. If not, and he stays in England, we're likely to see him move to a London-based team, as that's where he's based with his family. Next up, Leon Bailey, allegedly 120,000 a week, valued at 16 million. I was quite surprised at that. I thought it was a bit high. I don't think we get much more than 10 to 12 for him, but you never know. You never know. Where does Leon Bailey go? Well, previously he was linked with Ajax. He spent time at Roma on loan, which didn't go great. I could see an Ajax or a French or German side coming in for him. Obviously, he previously played for Bayer Leverkusen, did very well there before joining us. Those are the teams that I see Leon Bailey going to, unless he goes to one of the lower Premier League teams. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked apart from that one season where he was absolutely wonderful. Next up on 75k a week, 18 million, which I thought was a bit high for him as well. Emi Buendia. He's had some moments of magic this year, but he's very much a squad player, and he's a squad player who's close to 30, isn't really troubling the starting 11, only getting in because of injuries, with Alisson coming through, and the same for Bailey applies here. It will probably start to limit his game time if Alisson is kept around. I mean, he hasn't been loaned out. Obviously, Emery likes the look of him. So Buendia going, I can see Emi Buendia staying, going to a Leeds United, maybe moving on to a Spanish team, you know, a mid-table team over there, a Girona, a Sociedad, a Valencia, Villarreal level sort of team where he can go in, become a key player for them, and hopefully he does well. Daniel Marlon looks like he's going to Roma. They're going to activate that clause for him because he's doing fantastically over there. Allegedly 70k a week. 21.6 million is the rumoured fee for him to be activated. Harvey Elliott, his loan finishes, that saves us money. 3.3 million a year, pretty much, with the wages we're spending. Enzo Barrenechea, off to Benfica. They've, I believe, activated that clause of around 10 million for him. He's done very well over there. It would have been nice to have seen him in the Premier League, but obviously Emery doesn't really rate him too highly. Evan Gassond, another player out on loan, this time at Crystal Palace. Didn't work out for him at the Villa, did quite well at Palace. Isn't going to play enough games to automatically be signed by them because of injury, but in the games that he has played, he's impressed them. The rumour is that the fee for him is around about 25 to 28 million. So that's quite a good amount of money coming into the club for a player who won't play. I think with Gassond, if he doesn't join Palace, he'll still move on. Unlike a Marlon, if he doesn't join Roma, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back to the Villa, providing Emery offers him more football. Two more players who I think will leave, and these are first team squad players. I haven't delved into the Louis Barrys and such like, but we've got Sam Illing Jr., approximately 15,000 a week. He's rated at 8 million. He's a versatile left-sided player. He's obviously spent time at Juventus. He came through British academies before then. He's currently out on loan at Pisa. He had been at West Brom before then. I think Sam Illing Jr. probably goes to a championship team. Goes down there, makes his name, settles on a position, left wing back or left back, and hopefully we see him doing well in the future. The last one being Andreas Garcia, Again, 15k, valued at 7 million. Looked so promising when he first came onto the scene at Villa. Made that mistake against Liverpool in the draw against them. Hasn't really worked for him this season. There was talk of him going to clubs on loan, Levante, Elche, with options to buy. They didn't go through. He's been kept around because we don't really have backup for Matty Cash. I know Lamar Bogarde can play there, and Lindelof can, but you know, Emery wants a proper right back there. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Andreas Garcia go back to Levante, go to Elche and Osasuna type team rather than staying at the Villa. Another player who could be on his way out, and I haven't put him onto here because he's never been around that first team squad, though you could argue the same for Barrenechea and Ealing Jr., is Lewis Dobbin. Lewis Dobbin, currently at Preston, having a very good season there. Says he wants to make it at the Villa and play for the Villa. He'd give us versatility in attack. But I can see him going to a championship team again. Let me know if there's any of those outgoings that you disagree with in regards to the player. Don't worry about the wages, don't worry about the fee. If you want to tell me how much you think we'd get for those players, then brilliant. I don't agree with the fees on transfer market for transparency, though I do think those players leave. In regards to purchases, so I went with 7 players coming in to replace those 12. Yep, we probably do need to go up to 12, but these are 7 players who I think strengthen the squad that we've got. And we've got a couple of youngsters as well, such as Allison. We've got a Brian Maggio. We've got the likes of Tristan Rowe, who's been out on loan. We know that Swinkles has been out on loan and done well. Also, we've got George Hemmings, who's coming through, Aidan Borland coming through, Ben Brogio coming through, Jamo Aloba, Young. The list, it goes on. It goes on for those youngsters that could be in and around the squad and certainly supplement it next season without having too much of an impact on the 25-player ruling in the Premier League. So, first of all, a couple of these players have been linked with us, and I do see them coming in. Do these players better what we've got at the moment? You might not think they do, but I certainly feel that they fit the style and that they would be more consistent than the players that they're replacing. So, first of all, and now I'm going to have to go back on myself because Emi Martinez has been absolutely fantastic this season. He's been wonderful. The save he made against Sunderland right before we scored the winner was phenomenal. It was a save worthy of a best in the world goalkeeper, which Emi Martinez has been twice. Ideally, I wouldn't want to sell Martinez. I'm not sure that we will, but for the purposes of this video and with everything that happened last summer, I can see him going. So who do we bring in then? Well, the player that we bring in has been linked recently, and that is James Trafford. James Trafford, allegedly on around 75,000 a week. Transfer market has him at 25 million. I think owing to the length of his contract, with him being English as well, we probably would be looking at 25 million, if not more, to spend on him. Though I don't feel that he necessarily warrants that. James Trafford wouldn't be my first choice for goalkeepers coming in either. I would be looking at a Dean Henderson, a Carl Rushworth, Lucas Chevalier, who hasn't really done much at PSG, and there are other goalkeepers out there. If you listen to our last episode, the Sunderland preview, you'll be able to see who I thought we could bring in. But I'm going to go with James Trafford, English goalkeeper, play out from the back, needs that confidence, future England #1, likely to take over from Jordan Pickford at some point, another goalkeeper who I wouldn't mind actually at the Villa. But yeah, James Trafford, still very young. He's got that pedigree too. Luca Dean needs replacing, and Ian Martin's there. Is he in favour with Unai Emery? I'm not so sure. He's had a long adaptation period. He hasn't played as much this season as I thought he would play this season. But I don't think we sell him. I think we keep him. I think he plays 50% of the games along with this other player. And the one I've gone for is Anthony Robinson at Fulham. 60k a week. Quite surprising. He's got to be one of their top earners. They say about 25 million on transfer market. The rumours on social media have been 40 million, though I wouldn't say they're the most credible of sources. An American international, a player with a good engine, gets forward, gets assists for Fulham, has been a key player there. He would offer everything that Martin does, really, apart from those underlapping runs. He'd be more of a wide attacking fullback, but a player who's comfortable in the Premier League, and it's a step up for him from Fulham. No offence, Fulham. You've got to be probably my second team or one of my second Premier League team because of House Owen and Cadbury's, you know. We also look at Andreas Garcia leaving, Mings leaving. We're going to have to fill those positions. Oscar Mingoza can play both. We've also got Lamar Bogard who can drop into defence, and we have got Victor Lindelof who can drop into defence too. I think Oscar Mingoza comes in currently on 22,000 a week at Celta Vigo. We'd be able to give him a bit more because there's no transfer fee involved with signing the Spaniard, who Unai Emery, of course, managed at previously. Did he? I might be wrong. Yeah, I think I am wrong. Don't think he has managed him previously. Forget that. Don't worry. Imagine Baz Tolme. But Oscar Mingoza coming in for that versatility. We probably do need another centre-back still. There are some good frees about. Senesi at Bournemouth, but he's been linked with Tottenham if they stay up. Liverpool, his agent's doing the rounds, isn't he? You know, trying to be clever. Centre mid, whilst we keep Ross Barkley, though I wouldn't be opposed to selling him, I believe we strengthen it, and I feel that Dougie Luiz comes back. They say he's on 67.5k a week and that he's valued at 25 million. If he comes back for 25 million, as per the clause in the contract that we signed when we brought him in on loan, then that is a massive amount of money that we get back or save from the sale to Juventus only a couple of summers ago. Doug Luiz has fitted in. He can play centre mid. It allows your Tielemans to push forward into a slightly advanced role, which potentially is where he plays at his best because he gets on the ball closer to the opposition's penalty box. Dougie Luiz could do the same. He makes good competition for Kamara, Barkley, Anana and George Hemmings. Next up, we have to replace both Leon Bailey and Emi Buendia on those wings. On the right side, we need a left footer who can cut in. I had considered Jared Bowen, valued at 35 million, 150k a week. Didn't go for him. We're saving 95k a week and 35 million in transfer fees. Allegedly, the deal is done, though I believe it when I see it. Harry Wilson from Fulham. He can come along and he can room with Anthony Robinson on away days. A free transfer, had a fantastic season, scoring and assisting goals for Fulham. Fits into that team. Is he a starter on that right wing? Not over John McGinn. Does he offer different options? Of course he does. He's a Premier League experienced player. He's more consistent than Leon Bailey as well. Another player to bring in, which allows Rodgers to move inside, and a player who we've seen recently, an Englishman in Bologna, Jonathan Rowe. 53,000 a week, 20 million, likely to be more. He did incredibly well in the first leg. He had or gave Matty Cash his most torrid time of the season when he was facing him. Scored the goal in the first leg, Bologna's only goal at a tie. In the second, he was getting on the ball, driving inside, moving it around. He's a player who we've allegedly been linked with in the past. He was at Norwich City, came up through English academies there. And yeah, he just seems like a nice Villa fit. Another player I had considered, but because of wages and his most recent injury and age, James Maddison, 170,000 a week, 25 million. I would imagine that if he moves on from Tottenham, should they go down, his wages drop and his price tag drops as well, because no one's going to pay that for him. So, lastly, the player I bring in, and I would love him at the Villa. He can play in the cam, he can play on the left wing, he can play in centre mid, especially if Morgan Rogers were to leave or Tielemans was to leave in the future. It's the double-barrelled midfield sensation over at Nottingham Forest. Got a hat-trick against Burnley at the weekend. Morgan Gibbs-White, 110,000 a week. I could see him asking for more than that and being given more than that. Getting his place back into the England team if he was at our club. 60 million on transfer market, and whilst I don't think he would cost that much money, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. That brings us to 155 million incoming. Wages 442,500 per week. We spend 19.4 million more than we make. So, you know, I don't think that will be an amount that will cause us issues. The same with the wages. We're saving on wages. So there's still more wiggle room there to bring in free transfers, such as Senesi and any other frees that are available that Unai thinks, yep, they'll add to the squad, let's bring them in. With this in mind, if we were to buy these players and bring them in, I don't feel that our first team changes too much. I'd be looking at James Trafford as our goalkeeper. Obviously, we'd need James Trafford to be our goalkeeper because he's not going to be Marco Bizzot, he'd be on the bench. Our back four, Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres and Anthony Robinson. It would probably start out as Ian Martin because Unai knows him better, but I could see Robinson finding his way into that team. Kamara and Onana in centre mid. The three behind the striker, McGinn, Tielemans, Rogers, and then Watkins up front. So really it's about squad depth and that bench and being able to rotate for Europe and other matches for the players that we're bringing in. With Marco Bizzot on the bench, Oscar Mingoza, Victor Lindelof, who has played both right centre-back and left centre-back. We've also got Mosquera and Ozcan as well, who can play in defence. So let's not forget about those. Another player who I think will probably leave is Kosta Nedeljkovic. I didn't count him in there. He hasn't been around the first team squad. But continue with those subs. So Bizzot, Mingoza, Lindelof, Ian Martin, Dougie Luiz, Morgan Gibbs-White, Harry Wilson, Jonathan Rowe, Tammy Abraham. You put pretty much any of those into the first team. Not all at the same time, necessarily, though I think it'd still be strong. But you put them in and they naturally replace players in that starting lineup. This doesn't include the likes of Ross Barkley, who isn't getting into the squad at the moment with this. Jimo Aloba, Young, Hemmings, Maggio, yes, okay, they're younger players, and they're not necessarily going to start, but they need game time somewhere. I don't see them all going out on loan. Joe Gauci as well as a third choice goalkeeper, or Oliver Zich as a third choice goalkeeper. I think all of these signings and sales really help us to move forward with our team and to continue to challenge but bring in players of a higher standard than those that we're selling, certainly potential-wise. But that's enough about me. I want to hear who you would like to see the Villa buy and sell. Let's be realistic with it at the moment. Let's see who you think needs to come in, who you think needs to move on. And then at the end of the summer transfer window, we can compare to see who did the best. Anyway, until next time, cheers, Tar. Thank you very much. Up the Villa.